So we're saying bye to our farm Airbnb, and us and Dudu are saying bye to the gray horse on the farm. We're on our way to Tofino, which is a very long 4-hour drive from Coombs on Vancouver Island. So the highway was closed yesterday due to construction and also because of danger of falling rocks due to the rainfall. And as you can see, they're doing construction work here on Highway 4 because of a forest fire. So the weather is pretty nice on the east side of Vancouver Island. It's sunny with lovely clouds, and here we are somewhere around Port Alberni. We are taking a quick break here at a lovely park. Beautiful water and mountain there. And Dudu is using the bathroom here on the beach. He's so cute. And as we were driving closer to Tofino, the weather got more and more cloudy. Here we're taking another break at Kaniti Provincial Park. Dudu is just resting here on a driftwood. So just walking around and chill a little bit before sitting in the car again. Finally, we're getting closer and closer to Tofino, just 8 kilometers left. Finally, here I am. Welcome to Tofino, everyone. So Tofino has a rainforest climate. So here I am. I found a secret cafe in the hotel by Chester Man's Beach. So Google Map can be really helpful finding these lovely cafes. So I ordered a chicken sandwich and a cup of latte. I'm going to sketch the people in front of me and the view outside the window. So I just did a contour outline of my coffee cup and now using loose and broken segments of lines to draw the brim and having fun drawing the fern of the latte art. Some bubbles around the surface, bit of loose foams around the brim, and then drawing the little dish underneath the mug, the thickness of the little dish using gentle hand pressure and loose lines. And here I'm ready to draw the man in ponytail. Yeah, so that's the shape of his hairstyle, the side view of his face, his back and his bending arm, the back of his chair, these wooden planks, and his hand. So he's playing a game with his partner. And shading in his hair with solid black ink. I think he's dark-haired. He's like thinking. And drawing his leg right there bending down and his cup of drink. Now I'm drawing his partner's hair, the side view of the face, and the upper body. So it's really tricky to see the contour outline of their bodies because the light is streaming in right out from the window and their shapes are blurred out. But I'm just trying my best to see. And I just drew the girl's back of the chair. And so trying to depict that they're communicating and playing a game. And now I'm drawing this little leafy plant on the back of the table here. So when I'm doing a cafe sketch, I usually like to start drawing the people first, covering like the countertop or the view outside the window. So usually it's the people. So now I'm drawing my chicken sandwich. So this is the first half. And the slice underneath, the filling in between the slices, using loose and squiggly lines to show the minced chicken and veggies in cubes, and the thickness of the bread bun, and using these super loose parallel lines for the cracks on the toasted bread, and same for this piece over here. Actually some broken chips and the gap for the fillings in the middle. And that's the contour outline of my sandwich and the little dish underneath, the napkin. And now just drawing this round table with the chess pieces on it. Very special. I think one day I want to learn how to play chess. And now I'm drawing the cough of the girl and her shoe underneath the table and the seat of her chair. Just making sure to include these little details to make their bodies look reasonable. Adding very quick eyes for these two people. It's really hard to see their facial details from backlighting condition. And there's actually a couch here on the right side obstructing the back of the girl's chair. Alright, so now I think I want to paint my coffee and chicken sandwich, start eating, and then continue sketching. Just wetting these areas with clear water to avoid dry brushing, to ensure that I have a very smooth wash spreading out quickly. So this is a mix of yellow ochre and a little bit of orange for the first layer of the coffee, diluted version for the first layer of the sandwich for the bread, and then brown or burnt sienna mixed with orange, less diluted, more concentrated here for the second layer, wet onto wet, and then burnt sienna for the third layer of the coffee. So it's really having fun blending the oranges and browns together. And same idea, the bread is a diluted version of orange brown. The foamy area around the brim of the coffee cup is quite interesting. So now using blue mixed with royal purple, diluted with a lot of water to get my own gray. Quickly shading two values of grays for the coffee mug, the inside, the inner wall as well. Putting some leftover yellow for the reflection on the white dish. White is always reflecting colors around it, and then using the leftover gray to paint this interesting shadow of the mug on the little dish. So when adding contrast to your watercolors, it's better to wait for the previous layer to dry off a little bit. So now I'm adding a new layer for the bread. So this is burnt sienna mixed with a little bit of orange. As you can see, the contrast is pretty high and not getting spread out by the very watery layer. The previous layer is almost dried. And grabbing some leftover green to paint the lettuce in between. And leftover yellow-orange for the chicken. Using leftover gray to shade the right side of these two sandwich pieces. And leftover purplish gray to paint the shadow right on the bottom of these two sandwich pieces. And now quickly mixing some more quick purplish gray to intensify the shadow for the mug here, just so making the mug pop out from the paper even better. And here is my environment that I'm sketching. It's a really clean and bright little cafe on the first floor of a hotel. So after eating my sandwich and drinking most of my coffee, I'm looking at the view outside the window, outside the window panels, to sketch the little forest and the little bit of the beach that I can see. Alright, so I am just eyeballing the sizes of these window panels behind these two people. Yeah, so this is the one around the middle. There's a lamp in a cone shape in between the two window panels. And we'll just draw half for the window panel on the left and on the right as well. The middle one is the most interesting, has the most interesting view. And for this little landscape outside, I'm beginning with this little horizontal line that separates the forest and the beach, and then drawing the contour outline of the pine trees there in the distance, squiggly lines for the tree texture, driftwoods on the beach, and continuing the forest outline there on the right, as well as on the left. In the foreground, there is another pine tree, just drawing the tree trunk and the branches sticking out, continuing towards the window here in the middle. Some more loose branches coming down here, like little claws, tree bark texture, and more little leaves from the bushes here in the foreground. There's a lady sitting out there. So these window panels are making the drawing process of the view outside the window much easier, because we can divide it into 3 segments of squares, and then drawing another twig and the loose leaves hanging on top. Then coming back to the middle, I want to draw the man accompanying the lady opposite to him and the little kid sitting here in the middle, just adding a sense of narrative for this sketch. And drawing some more loose foliage texture for the bush here, the bushes here in the foreground, the rock there on the beach, and trying to see. I want to include this lady here, so this cafe, it looks a little bit more busy with more people back of the chair, and giving these window frames a thickness. These are like inverted thin rectangular prisms carved out from the walls, and here's a little birdhouse or something, and final bits of foliage details. That's it. Now I'm gonna write down the name of the place here. It's very easy to remember, the Driftwood Cafe. I think next time I'm visiting Tofino, I'm gonna come back again. Hopefully it will be a sunny day next time. And now I'm ready to paint watercolors. I'm gonna start painting the sky out there first by wetting it with clear water by lightly squeezing my water brush to wet the sky area. So I'm gonna mix my own gray with cobalt blue and a little bit of royal purple, diluted with quite a bit of water. I want to show the moody, overcast sky right out there, using mostly horizontal brush strokes to depict the pieces of thick clouds. It's really fun to paint this little landscape in 3 window panels. It creates a nice sense of drama, as I feel, and adding a slightly more intense purplish gray. Again, I mixed this interesting gray with cobalt blue and a little bit of royal purple. Adding a slight bit of diluted yellow around the horizon to show the warm sunshine trying to fight through the thick rain clouds, using the leftover green, which is very much hooker's green with a little bit of yellow ochre mixed in to paint the first layer of the forest island there in the distance, and a bit of diluted yellow ochre for the sandy beach. And now I'm ready to do wet onto wet on the forest area. So I'm just grabbing some pure hooker's green, mix it with a little bit of burnt sienna, and putting this darker tone of green mostly on the top area of the forest. The bottom, I want to keep it a little bit foggy, giving a sense of moisture of the rainforest climate. And keep intensifying the tips of these trees of the forest. Contrast is still very important on an overcast day with low contrast. So we have to accentuate and make those up a little bit. And now I want to shade the sandy beach with a little bit of leftover brown or burnt sienna around the edge underneath the trees in the far distance. So there's a slight bit of gradients and value transition happening. Grabbing some burnt sienna mixed with raw umber, and this time more concentrated, containing less water for the driftwoods and those rocks there on the beach. Grabbing some leftover green, hooker's green mixed with burnt sienna and also with yellow ochre in certain areas. Yeah, playing with a variety of different greens and also playing with water control. So there's a sense of flow of these greens throughout the whole landscape. The greens are tying this landscape into a good unity. Intensify the bottom of the bush over here, right outside the window, with burnt sienna mixed with hooker's green. Again, contrast is the key. Even on an overcast day when it's really hard to see the lighting condition, we have to kind of make things up a little bit with a bit of common sense and deeper contemplation of the view in front of us. And now adding this darker shade of green for the pine tree outside, hooker's green with burnt sienna. and playing with the angle holding the brush, so I'm able to create these thin and feathery brush marks for the look of the pine tree branches. And same for this tree as well. I think it's a different species of pine tree. So when we're sketching from real life observations or doing art journaling, we don't always have to find the most picturesque images or sceneries. I love working with these random found landscapes and trying to find harmony and balance with lines, shapes, and colors, and playing with composition to make the sketch more compelling than the real thing itself. This is so much more fun and entertaining compared to sketching a really ideal scenery like the ones we see on postcards or calendars. So now the young couple playing games are gone now, so it's a better idea to draw and color those people as soon as you can before they move on. Okay, here's me happily painting. Now, moving on. I think the outdoor landscape is very much done, just adding these retouches of browns and playing with water control. Painting the lamp is so important to add luminosity for the indoor space, just so there's a nice sense of cheerfulness for the indoor space. And putting on very loosely burnt sienna with a little bit of orange mixed in to get this warm atmosphere in contrast to the cold outdoor. Now it's time to paint the foreground elements. For the chair there, I mixed my own black using blue, green, and magenta, and painting these warm yellow browns. And also the skin color for this couple here, diluted browns. Shade their face a little bit on one side to give more dimension for their faces. So human heads, they are spherical shapes. And also trying to use my memory to color in their outfits. Most people these days, they wear black and grays, very muted colors. I remember the guy was wearing like purple. The lady was wearing a yellow sweater. Shade the back of her sweater because the light is actually in front of her. We can't really see a lot of bright spots on their bodies. So yeah, most of their bodies and faces are intensely shaded. And now also painting the skin color for those people sitting out there. Last bits of greens and grays for those spots that I missed. Before calling this sketch done, I want to do one last thing, which is very important to add even more drama. Now I'm shading these bars in between the window panels with a more intense brown containing less water, mostly burnt sienna with a bit of cobalt blue mixed in, especially for the bottom part. It looks so much more dramatic than before now, and same for the tree branches and trunk there. And that's it. Here's the look of my finished sketch. Took me about 1 hour sketching it. Here I'm outside the cafe, looking at the landscape around me. Really beautiful, despite it's an overcast day. So thank you so much for watching this video, everyone. If you like it, please click like and leave me a comment below. Subscribe to my channel for weekly updates. And I'm happily waiting in the water at the beach. Stay tuned for the next video. It's going to be a real-time video showing you how I sketched the long beach of Tofino in 25 minutes. Bye everyone, see you in the next video very soon.